Well, the campaign trail is very interesting. If you're against certain portions of the population, what it certainly seems Donald Trump is, the leading Republican had quite a weekend down in Alabama. On Saturday, there was a Black Lives Matter protester who was, quote, roughed up and who was taken out of an event. A video posted online showed people kicking and pushing a man who was later identified as a Black Lives Matter protester at Trump's rally on Saturday in Alabama. This is Trump's version.
That the man that was I don't know, you say roughed up, he was so obnoxious and so loud. He was screaming. I had 10,000 people in the room yesterday, 10,000 people. And this guy started screaming by himself. And they did, I don't know, rough up. Maybe he should have been roughed up, because it was absolutely disgusting what he was doing. This was not handled the way Bernie Sanders handled his problem, I will tell you. But I have a lot of fans, and they were not happy about it. And this was a very obnoxious guy who was a troublemaker, who was looking to make trouble. But I didn't get to see the event. Okay,
let's go to Dr. James Peterson. He is the Director of Africana Studies at LeHigh University, with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Doctor, good to have you back with us.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you for having me.
All right, what do you make of this? Who's at fault? What happened in the response of the candidate?
Okay, well, so first, I mean, protests are going to happen at presidential candidates' rallies. This is a part of the American tradition. There's really nothing more American than sort of speaking your voice, sometimes in the minority. And so the idea that the Trump campaign couldn't handle this in a way or diffuse this in a way without letting his actual supporters have a physical interface with his protest doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, Ed, think of the high irony of Donald Trump's response referring to someone as being obnoxious. I mean, here you have a guy who's maybe one of the most obnoxious presidential candidates we've had in the history of the United States, referring to a protester as being obnoxious. So I wish they could have diffused, the Trump campaign could have diffused this without allowing that sort of physical interface between his supporters and this protester.
Dr. Peterson, what do you make of the comment, should have been roughed up?
Inappropriate, Ed. It's inappropriate. But again, like, this is a candidate who defies all sort of everything we know about the sort of etiquette for presidential candidates, which is to say that if I don't know if any other candidate in the past said that a protester at one of their events should be roughed up, they essentially would be cast out from the presidential campaign. This guy's poll numbers go up when he says stuff like this. And so it's counterintuitive how you sort of comment on the Donald Trump candidacy, because he sort of defied the odds and defied history in so many ways over the last 6 months.
Do events like this and scenarios that unfolded at this event on Saturday in Alabama, does this tarnish the effort of Black Lives Matter in any way?
No way. No way. I certainly don't want to see any violence, but I suspect that Donald Trump will see more Black Lives Matter protesters at his events going forward.
Okay. Is this turning off an entire generation to the Republican effort in this country?
Ed, you know this already. An entire generation is already turned off to the Republican effort. Remember, there are young people who like Trump because they like his irreverence, and they like this idea that there's some outsider who can come into Washington and revolutionize how government gets done in the U.S. But I don't think people associate Trump with the traditional Republican Party brand. I think there's a disconnect, and I think folks in the RNC know this. Folks like Bryce Priebus and other folks in the leadership of the RNC are well aware of the fact that there is a disconnect between Trump's supporters and folk who love and follow Trump and the Republican brand. And so the Republican Party last presidential election allegedly was trying to sort of recuperate itself and revive itself by reaching out to young people, by reaching out to people of color. Clearly, once the presidential cycle came around, it was clear they were not invested in doing that. And so they're going to have to sort of pay the consequences of it. Unfortunately, we have a system that is gerrymandered, that's overwrought with money, and set up in such a way that a minority party can still hold on to power, even in times where they don't have popular vote and popular support.
Well, the national election is not going to be gerrymandered, and right. How hard is it going to be? Well, let me phrase it this way: what do the Republicans expect to be the end result to get people of color in this country to see their vision for the future when things like this happen? I mean, it's very clear that the Black Lives Matter movement in this country has been discarded by the mainstream media. They've taken a tremendous amount of criticism. There is no respect, or there's no listening to the message at all from what I hear. So where's the gain here for the Republicans if they're trying to make sure minorities in this country have a better America ahead and a better future ahead? Where's the gain here?
So far, that's only been lip service, Ed. I mean, we have to wait until this presidential cycle moves into the general election, because these guys on the right and the Republican candidates are all playing to a base that actually, we call it the red meat base because they love the red meat of somebody throwing out or beating up some black guy at a Donald Trump campaign event. I know that sounds horrible to a lot of your listeners, but there are some folks who are probably applauding that. There are some folks who feel like Black Lives Matter is a movement that's antithetical to the principles of America, and that black folk need to sit down and be quiet somewhere. And so Trump's response is playing to the sort of primary base where we see Republican politics outside of the sort of scope of mainstream America. We have to see what these folks are talking about once the general election piece starts. I would imagine they're going to be doing a little bit of damage control, trying to recover a little bit from some of the furthest of their right-wing sort of pendulum swing during the Republican primary process. But I don't know if there's any gain for the Republicans to be had out of this presidential cycle. I mean, the damage to me seems to be pretty much done at this point.
Dr. James Peterson, Director of Africana Studies, LeHigh University. Good to have you with us, James. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ed.
You bet. This is Ed Schultz, News and Commentary. Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team bring you this production. We're back tomorrow.